Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Taking the Lead. I'm Ken Jacobs, as you know. And Taking the Lead is our Zoom video podcast where we get to interview leaders, mostly from the PR world, quite often from the agency world. But they're on the show not just because they're great at PR and PR management and agency management. You know this. They're here because they are respected as leaders. So today I'm going to introduce our guest. It is Greg Mondshein. He's the co-founder, managing partner of Source Code Communications. It's been around 6 years. The agency has been named to the Holmes Report's Innovators 25 America's list in 2019. They've been named to the Holmes Report New Agency of the Year, Fastest Growing Agency, Best Places to Work, Small Agency of the Year. Before that, he was the SVP of Marketing and Biz Dev at Hotwire, a name many of you know, and started his career with the Max Borges agency. We all know them down in Miami. And he's the founder and board chair of the Diversity Marketing Consortium, the co-founder of We Raise PR. Folks, I am delighted to welcome to Taking the Lead, Greg Mondshein.
I got to start my day with you more often. It feels good. Thanks for having me, Ken.
People tell me that. Back, as I like to say, back at you, Slick. Okay, so little story, how do I know Greg? Well, like a number of our guests, we haven't met, but I became very aware of Greg and Source Code because they just kept, as you heard, best places to work in PR multiple times. So why is that honor so important to you as a leader?
So it's a really good question, and I think the answer is not a complicated one. We truly do believe that being a good place to work is the lifeblood of our organization. It's just that simple. And it's not just about doing the right thing because we believe in people having work-life balance and access to healthcare and proper benefits and proper parental leave. But it just makes good business sense. These are relatively minor investments that lead to better client service, better new business, highly engaged people managers. It makes recruitment easier. Having people that are balanced and capable and engaged and passionate and happy, they just do better work, frankly.
So, in a way, what I'm hearing is that when you win best place to work, when you've earned best place to work, it's not an end, it's a means to an end. And that end is, from what I'm hearing, happier clients, more engaged team members, and the ability to appeal to greater talent out there. Those are three pretty important things. So, I think worth the work, but you have to earn it, obviously. So, from reading the blog posts and interviews, you seem to have a very special relationship with your agency partner, Rebecca Honeyman. So I'm curious, how does she lead you and how do you lead her? Knowing she may see this, but
yeah. So I'm not sure we lead each other per se, but look, taking a step back from that question, when we started the business, a friend and a mentor of mine told us that we have to treat this relationship as we would any other marriage. And I think we've really effectively done that. We work together and spend a lot of time focusing on making sure that individually we each have what we need to be fulfilled. We had some learning curves to get over. We worked together in a professional capacity before, but being business partners is totally different. And there's a real focus on making sure each other are happy and fulfilled and doing the things that they want to do. to try to better answer your question, we do a lot of dividing and conquering. Early days, we kind of were both in every meeting, in every conversation, and we learned that led to people stepping on people's toes, and a lot of people in the conversation that probably didn't need to be in the conversation, right? So we divide and conquer. We make sure we're there for each other professionally and personally. And you look, when you think about what we've learned from each other, it's quite a bit, right? Becky is one of the best PR practitioners and client service professionals I've ever come across. So I follow her lead on that regard, almost like as if it were gospel. And look, I spent my career, as you kind of touched on, in marketing and operations and a bit of client service. So that's kind of where some natural lines are drawn, and we're able to help each other get better in places where we might have been weaker before.
Well, that sounds like a true partnership, and it does sound like a marriage, right? Hashtag work husband, hashtag work
She
wife.
is my work wife. That
Yeah.
is for sure.
That is great. That is great. So if you had to distill it down to only 3 bullets, and I'm sure you've learned a lot about leadership over the years, but the critical 3 bullets, what to you are the most critical tenets of effective leadership?
Yeah. And this is highly relevant for us right now. We just, as a business, reread Radical Candor. I'm not sure if you've read that book, but
I have. Yeah.
it's a good reminder of what's really important. And what we try to make sure we do as leaders is just care about people, right? Like, if you actually care about the human being that you're talking to and you're leading, you tend to make better decisions around how to interact with them and how to give them what they need to be successful. A lot of modeling. Yeah. You gotta walk the walk. It's easier said than done. So we want to make sure we're displaying the behaviors that we want our team to embody. And then lastly, it's important to be consistent and authentic in who you are, right? Like, you have to stand for something, and consistently live those values, whether it's in the way you communicate, the business you choose to go after, or not go after, the charities you support, the benefits you offer your teammates. It's got to be kind of a 360 approach.
Yeah. And it sounds like your leadership is based in certain values. And I think, it has to be. I often say that, when you decide your values, maybe you have a mission statement, whatever the case may be, you got to be honest with it. You can't say employees first if it's always about the money, and you can't say it's always about the client, and you can't say it's clients first if it's always about the money.
Yep.
People's BS meters go off the chart when your values and how you operate the place are out of alignment, and they don't care what you say. It's always what you do. It's always
without a doubt. And look, it's okay to be about the money, right? Like,
if
as
that's
long
your
as
choice, own it.
As long as that's who you are and those are the people you hire, like, you don't want to trick people into thinking they're coming to work in one place, but they're actually not.
Yeah,
that's not good for anybody.
Yeah, just be honest. So tell us a bit, if you would, about something I'd mentioned earlier, the Diversity Marketing Consortium, where you are a founder and board chair.
Yeah. So this is one of those, stories that I love to tell. And look, truly, it's one of the most impactful things I do on a day-to-day basis. But about 3 to 4 years into the business, we were searching for our give back moment, our initiative. And we had a little task force internally trying to figure out what that was going to be. We hadn't reached a solution yet. At the same time, we got off a new business call with a prospective client that we couldn't work with because they just didn't have the budget. And we were on a debrief call with their venture capital firm, Harlem Capital, and we were giving them the takeaway and say, hey, they just didn't have the budget. And, at the same time, something clicked. And I was like, hey, what if we got a few agencies together and we offered some pro bono services to your portfolio companies? And they said, great, let's do it. And it was one of those situations where you get off the call and you're like, uh-oh, now I got to figure out how to.
Now we got to create the consortium.
So that scary moment led to, one of the most important things that SourceCode's ever done. And, the Diversity Consortium now is 10 agencies. It's a New York State 501c3. We have partnerships with not only Harlem, but another venture capital firm in New York City. Relationships with Forbes, Business Wire, and a few others. And we've donated just over 1.6 million in pro bono services to, I think it's about between 35 and 40 clients. And it's this amazing experience that's designed to be really agency friendly. You take clients that are good for you when you can take them. They're short sprint engagements so that you're not locking yourselves into a long-term relationship. And it's plug and play. It's a nice and easy way to cycle people in and out to your charitable initiatives. Shameless plug, if anybody listening is interested in joining, we are on the hunt for agencies because we have more clients than we can service at the moment. But it's a really exciting part of our business.
Great. It sounds it. And it sounds like a great way to give back. It's funny it comes up because I work with a lot of agencies that have clients where there's just not enough budget. And so they're constantly over-servicing, or they're just charging at discounted rates, but it's for-profit organizations.
Yep.
And I say to them, here's a better approach, I think. Get out there, get some more business from clients who can pay you, and then do something pro bono for someone or someones who can benefit from your knowledge and wisdom and really don't have the funds. So this is a great way to do that.
Yeah, look, this is us. We talked about living our values. This is an initiative that's important to us. And, you have to be a POC or a female-led business to apply. And to be able to do our part to kind of change the face of, the boardroom, that's the ultimate goal.
Excellent. So all of us on the leadership journey have had moments that made us wince. I certainly have. I talk a lot about it in my training. They know that. Share your worst leadership moments. Please be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Where you weren't bringing your best, and maybe what you learned from it and how you recovered.
Yeah, this was a question that I struggled with, right? Because I think there have been so many.
Well, that's good.
I have gotten very good at apologizing. So that's, one of the things, because I've screwed up so many times, right? Look, to make one thing clear, I know I've got a lot to learn when it comes to leadership. And when I tried to boil it down to one instance, it came to a kind of a group of instances around the performance of accounts and employees. And I think there have been many times where, for me, I'm moving 100 miles an hour. The client needs X, deliver it by this date, or we're going to be in big trouble, or there's going to be an issue. And the approach hasn't been appropriate, right? So, we talked a little bit about radical candor, the things that I've learned, to handle these situations better, because look, we're in PR, right? We have 40 clients. These are going to happen, right? Often. First and foremost, leading with empathy, right? It's just important for you to realize that everybody's got things that they're dealing with that you may not know about. So having a little bit of humility and taking a step back and giving people the opportunity to express themselves is tremendously important. To provide the feedback that I think oftentimes the feedback I've provided isn't bad feedback. I just haven't done the pre-work of having the right relationships with people. Candid feedback requires people to know that you actually, like I mentioned before, care about who they are as a person. So I think oftentimes I haven't done the legwork there. So I'm trying to focus on building real actual relationships with those folks. And lastly, I mentioned it before, but modeling. I am very guilty of going through a day with 8, 10, 12 meetings and, being 5 minutes late to this meeting or not having a deliverable completely completed. And, being open and honest and transparent. If I want people to do that for me, I've got to do that for them.
Yeah.
So those are things that I'm working to get better at.
Okay. I don't think they're awful leadership moments. And I'm a big believer, there's no such thing as failure. In fact, I always put failure in air quotes. If you learn from it, then it's just something on that road to leadership success.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with you. If there's one thing leaders can be working on today, it is, in addition, well, it's emotion, it's the 2 E's of leadership, empathy and emotional intelligence. They will serve leaders so well now. And, they're considered soft skills, right? And I just hate that expression, soft skills, because I think it minimizes the importance. These are, critical human skills, critical leadership skills. These are skills that as you grow into them, really can have an enormous impact on your performance as a leader. And so that it has an impact on the performance of everyone in your organization. And that's really what leaders do, right?
Yeah. And that, like, I couldn't agree more. And that's a profitability revenue conversation, right? And that's what's important to realize. Like, these things are mission critical so that you can build the business that you want to build.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, I'll wrap this one last point. A friend of mine said, it's not win or lose, it's win or learn. So kind of echo that sentiment.
That's great. Last point. What's your life mission, not your business mission? What is Greg Mondschein's life mission?
Yeah. So I just turned 40 this year, and
so young.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that. I don't feel that way.
Oh my God, you are so young. Gosh. Yeah, in a good way.
But yeah, look, for the first time in my life, I've realized I'm not the same person I was, and that's been a realization that I'm still currently battling and dealing with. So,
and in response to that, may I say, hold my beer, but okay, keep going.
Yeah. Look, so the first one is staying fit and healthy. For me, that is the catalyst for everything in my life. I'm a better father, husband, employer, business partner, the whole deal, when I get those endorphins from doing something every morning. The second, I touched on it, but being a great husband, father, for me, that's what it's all about. And, I've got 2 little girls that are 8 and almost 5. So, building strong, resilient, young ladies is something I'm very, very, very focused on. And lastly, this one's a little bit selfish, but traveling the world and embarking on some adventures. I want to get out and see the world. I don't want to be a tourist, but I want to go out and climb mountains and mountain bike down volcanoes and do exciting stuff like that while I still can. So I try to do something like that once a year.
So a couple of things. The fitness, whatever that involves for you, physical, mental, emotional, does serve all those other things. Just know that eventually both your daughters will be 11. You will need that resiliency. Trust me on that.
I know. The 8-year-old has her first crush, by the way.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I'm starting with that one.
As far as being young, I think a lot of our viewers know I left the PR agency business and started this whole new journey when I was 50. And I thought I was old then. I've realized I wasn't old then. I don't even feel, 15 years later, I don't feel old now. So it is never too late to either create the new chapter or create the right chapter, or just determine, what do I really want? What do I really
Yeah.
want from this life, from this business? And when we ask that important question, it really leads to great benefits. Anyway, we've got to wrap up now. I want to just reiterate some points. If you want to link in, I hope I can offer this to Greg, and it's Mondshein. I'm going to say he'd be willing to consider that. Put him on the spot. If you're an agency and you want to hear more about the Diversity Marketing Consortium, please reach out to Greg, as he said. And if you'd like to reach out to me to discuss leadership and how you can be a more effective leader, or if there are people on your team who you believe can be more effective leaders, please reach out, ken@jacobscomm.com. And I just want to thank Greg again. And I really hope this year we'll get to meet in person. It would really be nice. Really be nice.
Would love that.
Great.
And thanks for having me, Ken.
Thank you again, and to everyone out there, till next time, keep on taking the lead.